안녕하세요, 여러분. So, the past couple of weeks we've been discussing counting systems in Korean, but we've never actually discussed when we use each system because I didn't want to throw all this information at you guys straight away without separating it into bite-sized chunks that you could easily understand and kind of practice as you go along. So, today we're going to be talking about when do we actually use the Sino-Korean numbers, which we talked 2 weeks ago, and the native Korean numbers, which we talked about last week. If you haven't watched those videos, they are gonna be right here. So make sure to click on them and watch them and then come back here and continue our journey of discovering Korean numbers and just Korean language in general. Yay! Please forgive how I look today. I feel like I'm starting to get sick and I'm all like cozied up with my favorite Taeyang sweater. Yay! And warm socks and tea and meds and yeah. I really don't want to get sick. Alright, so first of all I want to start from something where we actually use both counting systems together or interchangeably. So a situation where we use both native and Sino-Korean numbers together is when we tell time, because we use the native Korean numbers to say the hours and we use Sino-Korean numbers to say minutes, seconds, and all that stuff. So for example, if right now it is 1:26 p.m. so I'm going to say 1시, which is 1 hour, and then I'm saying 26, which is going to be 26분, which is 26 minutes. 분 is the word for minutes in Korean. So that's how you tell time. You use the native Korean numbers for hours and use Sino-Korean numbers for the minutes. Also, from what I understood, Koreans don't use the 24-hour system like they do in Europe, but they kind of have something similar to what they use in America, which is like AM and PM. So if you want to say something like you leave for work every day at 9 AM, you would say it in Korean like this. 매일 아침 9시까지 출근해요. 매일 means every day. 아침 is morning. 9시 is 9 o'clock. And then 까지 means until, if you translate it literally, but in this sentence it just means like at 9 AM. I don't know really how to explain it. Native Korean speakers or teachers or tutors, like I always say, if you're out there watching this, please help me with this. But yeah, and then 출근해요 comes from 출근하다, which means to go to work. When you put word morning, which is 아침, in front of the time, then you're kind of specifying that it is AM, not PM. So you're saying 9 o'clock in the morning, pretty much, which translates to AM in English. So yeah, that's how you kind of differentiate between morning and evening. But in general, from my experience with, you know, telling time in Korean, I feel like they just kind of base it according to the context. So now I'm going to move to a situation where you can kind of use native and Sino-Korean numbers sort of interchangeably. Counting months in Korean can be a little bit tricky because if you actually want to read months like January, February, March, August, whatever, you are going to use Sino-Korean numbers and just a word month. So you're gonna say 1월, 2월, 4월, 3월, etc, etc. But when you actually want to count months, as in like, oh, we've been together for 5 months, or yeah, I started school 3 months ago, something like this, then you can use either Sino-Korean numbers or native Korean numbers. But if you're going to be using Sino-Korean numbers, you will have to use a counter, which I'm going to get into next episode. If you want to use the native Korean numbers, then you would have to use a different word for month. You would have to say 달. So you would say 한 달, 네 달, 다섯 달. Yeah, so that's when it comes to months. When it comes to weeks, years, or days, it's mostly Sino-Korean numbers. You can count years using native Korean numbers, but then again you would have to use a different word for year, which is 해. Now I'm just gonna go quickly through a list of when you use Sino-Korean numbers and when you use native Korean numbers. So you use Sino-Korean numbers when you are doing maths. If you want to say 1 + 1 = 2, you'll say 1 더하기 1은 2. Also, when you're saying your year of birth or today's date, or pretty much any date, you also use Sino-Korean numbers because again, they're just easier. So if I would say my birthday, it would be 11, 10월 1995. Yeah. Like that. You also tell temperature using Sino-Korean numbers, and you measure things in Korean using Sino-Korean numbers like kilos, watts, blah, blah, I don't know what else, like any measurements like centimeters, meters, whatever, you use Sino-Korean numbers. Floors of the building, also Sino-Korean numbers. And lastly, probably one of the most important situations where you would use Sino-Korean numbers is when you're counting money or talking about money in Korean. Now that we've discussed when we use Sino-Korean numbers, the native Korean numbers, I feel like you use in less amount of instances, but you use pretty much as Sino-Korean numbers, because the situations where you use native Korean numbers, I feel like they're kind of bigger and more encompassing. Basically, you use native Korean numbers when you're counting people or objects. But for that, you will need to know counters for pretty much everything. Like, people have their own counters, dogs have their own counters, books have their own counters, papers have their own counters, like everything has their own counter in Korean. It is a little bit overwhelming, but what can we do? Also, you use native Korean numbers to tell age, which, for example, my Korean age is 21 because I am 20 this year. So yeah, if I want to say my age in Korean, 21살이에요. So 20 is 20, han is 1, 살 is counter for age, but you can consider it as like years pretty much in if you want to translate it directly to English. And then 이에요 means I am. So yes, there you go. I am 21 years old. 21살이에요. There you go. Another very important situation where you use native Korean numbers is when you're counting times that you did something. Like, oh, I've only tried this product once. Time, in that sense, in Korean means 번. So like 한 번 means once, or like one time in Korean. 두 번, 세 번, 네 번, you know? So yeah, that means like one time, two times, three times, four times. So yeah, that's when you also use native Korean numbers. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is it. Please let me know if I missed anything where you use native Korean numbers or Sino-Korean numbers. All of these topics are kind of relatively easy for beginners to explore and kind of comprehend, so that's why my list may not involve every single situation when you need to use either one of the counting systems. But yeah, if you know, please, please, please help me, and in the comment section below, let me know if I missed something, if I said something wrong, if I'm not really explaining something properly, because I'm doing this for all of you out there who want to learn, and if I get any feedback, that would be amazing because it's going to help them even more, so I will be really happy. Yay! I hope this video wasn't too long for you guys. Also, sorry for uploading on a Saturday rather than a Thursday. I have just been having such a hectic time because I started uni this week, and just all these other things that I have in my life is just super tiring and time consuming. So yeah, please forgive me. But yeah, on a brighter note, I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday when I upload my new cover. Woohoo-hoo! Alrighty, I'll see you soon. 안녕!